Question comes via Twitter from James Howe. With the threat posed by global warming, what is your party doing to help the environment?
Okay, thank you. And moving on in our order, the first candidate to get a chance to respond will be Mark Corbier.
I think we need to mirror a lot of recycling programs around the country. I believe in Montreal and as well as BC, you can bring recyclable products into a depot and then get 25 cents, 10 cents a can or something like that. And I believe if we institute a policy like this here in Ontario, we'll not only have an Ontario we can enjoy, we're going to have an Ontario that's always clean, because there's constantly people who will come pick up this garbage, or people who, just for a side of income, can do it. Thank you.
Thank you. John Alward.
Our government's taken initiatives on a number of fronts in terms of clean water, in terms of curbing pollution, but of course one of the main features of the last number of years has been the whole Green Energy Act and the fact that we want to move out of coal. We want to shut down our coal-fired plants here in the province of Ontario and have an energy supply system which has a significant renewable energy mix. And just as I pointed out to the earlier questioner, this is having a triple effect. It's helping our energy supply, it's a big boost to the economy, and also, of course, it's helping the environment, as the questioner asked.
Thank you.
Shutting down the coal plants has been talked about for a long time, but it so far hasn't happened. We have committed to shutting them down by 2014 at the latest and converting them to natural gas. We believe in clean energy, and we believe in energy that is sustainable and it's available 24/7. So we believe in hydroelectric and also nuclear, which are the cleanest forms of energy available. We also believe in renewable energy such as solar and wind, but we don't believe they should be heavily subsidized as the current government does. We think that they should be open to the same kind of economic strictures that any other thing would be, that we're not subsidizing one energy and giving it an advantage over another. But we certainly do believe that there's a place for solar and wind, although as a meteorologist I can tell you we cannot depend on energy that only works when the sun shines and the wind blows. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, well, it's absolutely right. We need to shut down our coal plants. They're dirty, they have major health impacts. And we also need to continue our transition onto green energy and to the green future. Additionally, the NDP party is looking at partnering with municipalities 50-50 on transit, so that municipalities have the amount of money that they need for operating costs and expansion of public transit, so that people have better access to transit and they can go into a car-free future. As well, we're looking at helping people save money in their homes while saving energy. So we're going to implement a $5,000 home renovation tax credit, which could be paired with a federal tax credit to bring it up to $10,000, so that people can retrofit their homes to make them more efficient and end up saving themselves money in the meantime.
Mark Percudera.
Green Party, what can I say? I can pretty much go on, and it's actually a major part of our platform. It just gives some ideas. We're going to import hydro from Quebec rather than having go into the U.S., and that will actually be able to help us shut down the nuclear reactors. We're going to support the idea of local energy, so that they actually would take pressure off the grid. And as we're going to use renewable energy sources, we can use microhydro, solar, wind. We're also going to develop the process of small, healthier, livable communities, which we've seen being developed, so that way we take less pressure off traffic and grid as well. As I mentioned, we're going to support things that's going to take pressure off of traffic, which is going to make a big difference with regard to what we already have here with the development of the LFT. And I got 10 seconds left. Thank you.
Thank you. Chris, another question.
Thanks, John. Mary of Kitchener has a question for Mr. MacDonald, and it concerns the budget.
Thank you. The PCs have promised a big tax break for Ontario families. Mr. Hudak said it would average $1,000 per family. This is only $19.20 a week. I'm a home economist. For the average family, $20 a week is insignificant, not a big tax break. But even this teeny-weeny tax break is going to cost your budget between $2 and $3 billion, according to my figures. Taxes and that's coming out of your budget, which already has a big hole in it. Taxes that fund critical programming are going down the tubes. I think this means slashing and burning of programs is coming back to Ontario. $20 a week in tax savings does not make me willing to endure a Mike Harris style slash and burn hell again. Do you have a real plan? And if so, what are the specifics? Thank you.
Well, thank you for that interesting statement, but unfortunately Mike Harris was in the last century and we're in a new century moving forward, and we have a fully costed plan. It's a fully costed plan. We have a budget available on our website if you want to go and look at it. We will balance the budget as around 2014 or 2017, 2018 we'll have a balanced budget in spite of the fact that we're giving you back $20 a week. We are going to cut costs in government. We are going to look at the 630 agencies that work for the government. And there are any 3 letters of the alphabet you want to arrange in any order, you'll have an acronym for some agency you've never heard of, and they're working for the government, spending your money. We're going to look at every one of them, one at a time. If they're working, we keep them. If they're broken, we fix them. And if they're not working, we close them. We use those savings to go back into tax savings, into healthcare and education. We have a plan. It is fully costed. There is no hole in our plan. Thank you.
Harold of Kitchener has a question about energy costs, and he wishes to address it to Mr. Malloy.
The McGuinty-Malloy government provides a subsidy of 80 cents per kilowatt hour to one of the world's largest companies, Samsung, at a cost of $7 billion to produce energy when the retail price of that energy is 5.3 cents per kilowatt hour. So 5.3 cents retail, 80 cents cost, so 14 times higher. Samsung will realize profits of billions per year for 20 years, all at Ontario's family's expense in the form of increased taxes each year for the next 20 years. I have 2 questions. Why didn't you give that contract to a Canadian company to provide fantastic jobs, not only to the company that produces, but also in the service organization and so on? And also, how much is Samsung paying the McGuinty-Malloy Liberals for this one fantastic sweetheart deal?
I kind of like this McGuinty-Malloy. I'm feeling rather powerful tonight. Let's talk a little bit about energy pricing. Energy pricing changes throughout the day. Some of you may be shocked to know that we pay hundreds of dollars at a certain moment for a kilowatt of hour during a peak energy pricing. It changes all through the day. What you pay is a blended price, which is now put in a time of use. What we've tried to do is we've tried to bring in green energy, and yes, we put incentives in place so that we can build an industry which is creating 1,200 jobs in our region alone in terms of solar. Samsung, it's not a $7 billion. We're not paying them $7 billion, ladies and gentlemen. Samsung has made a commitment to invest $7 billion in Ontario in partnership with local companies. They've established factories. They're creating jobs. We're creating an industry in which Ontario is a leader. We should be proud of what's happening.
Thank you. Another question.
David of Waterloo has a question for Mr. Malloy, and it concerns smart meters.
Mr. Malloy, since your government mandated the smart meters in your homes, our hydro bill is going up from 84 to 150%. And I was wondering also, I just discovered that as of 2012, that your government's going to add additional tax to that, to the total of $33 million for the use of the smart meter. I was wondering when you're going to inform the taxpayers and the voters of that fact.
Listen, smart meters exist. As I said, electricity pricing changes throughout the day. The most expensive time to use energy is during the middle point of the day, and what we're trying to do is build energy pricing so it more reflects the reality of what's going on. That does a couple of things. That starts to reduce some of the load at that time, which means that we don't have to have as much energy, we don't have to build as much capacity, and it allows us to better regulate the system that's going on. The fact of the matter is that we've reduced rates under the smart meter for 64% of the time, starting at 7 o'clock at night and on weekends and holidays. I'm never sure why conservatives are all doing their laundry at midnight, but the simple fact is we are bringing in a more realistic way of pricing energy that reflects the actual costs that are going on. We're doing that because we think we need to have an energy system which is strong and which is solid and which reflects the needs of our province.
Thanks, John. Gabriel at Kitchener has a question for all the candidates, and it concerns healthcare for seniors.
Thank you for your attention. I'm somewhat of a new Canadian. I've been living in Kitchener for the past 8 years. So this question really affects my parents more than myself. Considering the growing retiree and elderly population in Kitchener Centre, what plan does your party have to provide and expand healthcare and home care for this vulnerable group? And how can it be done in the most cost-effective way to the taxpayer?
Okay, thank you. We'll go back to our rotation, and the first candidate to respond will be John Malloy.
Thanks. Our platform has been very focused, and in the healthcare section, a lot of it's focused on seniors as we face the aging population. We're proposing, among other things, 3 million more hours in terms of home care. We are looking at a home renovation credit for those seniors or individuals who are housing a senior who need to make renovations to keep them in their home. One of the best things about the healthcare challenge that we have right now is the simple fact that people like to be treated and where it's actually the cheapest to treat them in their home. So by investing in home care, investing in these sorts of supports, it's actually helping to relieve stress in the system. One of the proudest things I've done as MPP, a few weeks ago, we announced the formation of a 192-bed long-term care home at the University of Waterloo, which is not only going to provide beds for seniors in our community, but it's also going to be a research institution to look at how we can treat our seniors better in that sort of long-term care setting, something that I work on I'm very proud to
This is an issue that concerns me, perhaps more than some of my colleagues, because officially I am a senior. And so I have something to look forward to myself over the next few years as to how I'm going to be looked after. And our policy also focuses on seniors, and we think that they should be able to stay in their homes as long as they can and with dignity. We are definitely committed to that. We will double the tax credit for caregivers who choose to look after people in their own homes. And we're also going to renovate and create 40,000 new long-term care beds in Ontario, and they will go to the areas that need them the most. We are very concerned about the welfare of our seniors, and we feel they should be treated with the dignity they deserve because they are the people who built this province and made it what it is today.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Healthcare is our #1 expenditure, and if we're looking at how demographics look, it's going to continue to be, and if we don't make sure that we get it under control, it could really end up costing us big time. And it's absolutely right that home care is the cheapest form of care for looking comparatively against long-term care and hospital care. Right now, we have thousands of people that are in hospital beds that don't need to be. They don't actually need the hospital care, but they're waiting for long-term care or they're waiting for home care. We have the long-term care list, so the waiting list has tripled in the last 5 years, and we have 10,000 people waiting for home care. So we need to make sure that we're funding the care where it's going to help us the most. We can save a lot of money by not having people waiting in a hospital when they're getting the care in their home like they should be. And if they need to be, then in a long-term care home, if they're not waiting to get in there. And anybody who's ever had a family member or been in a long-term care home and has been waiting knows that typically it's more of an emergency situation that you're not waiting. You don't want to be waiting for months waiting to find out.
Thank you.
Well, I'd say that today I actually met with the people who work with the independent living, which helps seniors as well, and we're definitely going to work with people like that who do need the help, so that make sure that seniors and people who are on disability can actually live at home, which is healthier for them. We also can provide tax credits for people who have seniors living at their home, as well as provide $2 billion for 4 years to help with the senior program. We're also going to provide managers to help seniors navigate the healthcare system as well.